Yeah, first of all, thank you everybody who's already here. Thank you for joining us today, depending on where you are, morning, day, or evening. So for today's webinar, the focus will be on specifically teamwork. So I'll take you through a bit. I'll of course cover also some general stuff. I want to also make a bit of an introduction on UgCS to those of you who maybe are not familiar, since I'm probably sure some of you already know it, are using it. But I'm sure there's also some people who are completely new and just join to find out what is what and what does this offer. But yeah, focus will be a bit more on teamwork. We'll also try to answer your questions. So yeah, I think let's get started because actually I have quite a few slides and I want to cover quite a bit of information today for you. So yeah, quickly before we begin, so the length of the webinar will be approximately 1 hour, and we'll have a Q&A session at the very end of the webinar. Please do put your questions in the Q&A. Don't put them in the chat because in the chat they will most likely just go missing. So if you want them to be answered, please put them in the Q&A. I'll have my colleagues here as well who will also try to answer some of the questions while I will be talking. And also then after the webinar, we'll have the recording up on YouTube. So in case maybe you have to disconnect a bit sooner, I know it's also late in some parts of the world, maybe you need to go out and fly your drone. So yeah, then you'll be able to watch some parts of it that you might have missed. But I do encourage you to stay for the full duration because I think it should be quite interesting. And yeah, another thing before we get started is I would like to invite you all to join, unless you're already there, I'd like to invite you all to join our Facebook group. So on Facebook, we have a community for drone mapping and surveying, which specifically focus on UgCS. So you can either, I'll maybe try and see if I can copy the link. I'll put it in the chat here. Yep, there we go. And also here is the QR code. So you can just take your phone, put it up to the screen, scan it. And in case you are not yet part of this community, then feel free to join. You can ask also any questions. I'm also very often answering people's posts there. So this involves everything. This involves some technical discussions, questions about flight planning, how to better cover some projects, and even sharing some interesting projects you have done with UgCS. So yeah, I encourage all of you to come join us, and yeah, let's plan our flights together. So yeah, now I think we can probably proceed on to well, the next part of this. So I'll try to just quickly run through a bit of the background, a bit about UgCS to those of you who probably maybe haven't heard about it or have heard very little stuff. So who are we? What do we do? And so on. So our company is called SPH Engineering, as you already see here in the slides themselves, of course. So we have been founded in 2013. I've been with this company since almost the very beginning. So I joined in 2014. And actually, UgCS was our very first product. And so ever since then, we added different other products, different sensors. So now also we sell ground penetrating radars, magnetometers, different things, including our true terrain following systems. And yeah, also the most recent one we introduced is actually a platform for data sharing, which also I will be briefly covering today as well. So we're located in Riga, in Latvia. So here is also a map so you can see where we are, but we operate worldwide. And we also now actually have offices in San Antonio, Texas, as well as in Serbia. But yeah, then a bit about UgCS. So what is UgCS? In short, it's desktop-based drone flight planning software, which allows drone pilots to plan and execute different projects, starting from small to more complex ones. So that's if I had to define it very simply. It runs on the computer, so PC, Mac, and Linux, and you can connect different drones to the software. So the benefits of UgCS is that, firstly, obviously, you can automate different data collection workflows, so power lines, normal surveying, mapping, taking images even of rock cliffs, mining quarries. You can also pre-plan all the flights. So this allows you to plan flights on the large screen in the office or even in the field, wherever it's more convenient for you. You can also even plan flights over steep terrain, over very complex terrain. You can use different resolution of digital elevation models with UgCS. And also it allows you to plan flights for LiDAR, photogrammetry, and so on. Yes, so like I mentioned, you can use this for LiDAR. That's actually one of the most common applications. This also supports various different LiDAR sensors. So whatever LiDAR sensor you are using, you can use it with UgCS as well. Obviously then for photogrammetry missions, also one cool thing is that all of the flight plans, you can easily change it. So depending on what drone you're using, you can have a flight plan for the Phantom 4, and then you can quickly switch it out to the Matrice 300. So actually GCS stands for Universal Ground Control Software, simply meaning that it's universal. You can connect different drones to it and use the same flight plans and the same workflow. Yep, like I mentioned, different drones, different workflows, and also you can combine so both DJI and also non-DJI drones. So also if you have a drone that's based on autopilot system or PX4, then you can use all of them in the same platform, including also different custom cameras and custom payloads. Also, you can do building inspections. So you can scan, as you can see here, this is a building model imported inside of UgCS. So you can scan whatever building you have, whether you have or don't have a model. In both cases, you can plan your flights like that. So here you can see this is actually a combination of 3 different flight plans. There's photogrammetry, there's the circle, and also there's the vertical scan here on the side. Also, this is actually, by the way, some screenshots from one of the projects we did. This was in Spain, so I was actually flying this myself. So when we were scanning this monastery, also you can see how the images of the side of this was taken. And so this kind of data you can use to very accurately then later on model whatever buildings you are trying to scan, trying to capture, and you can also share data with the clients. And also I'll show a bit later exactly how you can do this. Also, recently we introduced the new a new type of flight plan. It's called circlegrammetry, and so using this, you can actually collect oblique images quite easily. And essentially, you can cover an entire area simply using circles with the drone looking towards the middle of each circle, and you can get quite good results, especially when you have to gather data over some complex geometry that's on the ground. Here, I'll just show a very brief video. This was actually shared to me by one of our customers. So this was not made by us, but it's made by the customer. It's on their YouTube channel. This, I believe, was done in France. And this was also data that was captured using the circlegrammetry over this construction zone, as you can see. And so here also you can see all the details of the roof and everything around it. So using very quick circlegrammetry flights done in UgCS, this is also sort of the output, what you can get once you have the data processed here. And yeah, so just very quickly I wanted to show this. And now I think we can already, yeah, let's move a bit further. So yeah, obviously, UgCS, you can plan flights in full 3D. You can tackle different large-scale projects. So here also you can see this is a project of a solar farm with multiple different flights planned here. And it also allows you to see how the different flight plans relate to one another. And we'll get into the software and everything in just a second. Yeah, so here also you can see that you can plan different long corridors. This work will also show in just a moment. Also, you can use map overlays. So all of the map in GCS is fully customizable. So this means that you can either use the default base map for planning your flights, or if you have already maybe covered some area with pictures, or it could also be that maybe the area itself has changed. You might be flying over some construction area or a mining quarry. Then actually you can also use your own maps for your flight planning. And also, of course, you can plan flights through by using different input files. And this is also actually one of the topics of today's webinar. So there's different flight modes, how you can fly above the ground. So there's AGL, smart AGL. I won't really have time to get into all of those details right now, but if you have some questions, then later on in the Q&A, I can try to also cover some of these topics. And yeah, also one of the sort of strengths of GCS is that you can actually also fly fully offline. So even myself, I've used GCS in fully remote locations. So one of them was Greenland. back in 2019 even. And yeah, so a lot of the stuff you'll see mentioned in this webinar does mention that, yeah, so with the internet, you can do this, can do this, but all of this can also be used fully offline. So that's just a note that internet connection is not required when you are out in the field, because this is actually also one of the things I've noticed a lot of pilots are still looking for, because you might either not have internet or you might not be sure whether you'll have network connection. So GCS allows these type of workflows, because this allows also you to cache the maps, the elevation for offline use, and then you can be out in the middle of nowhere, just your laptop, your drone, batteries, and you can do your flights. So yeah, that was a bit of a sort of longer intro slash overview of UgCS. This is actually some slides that you might have seen also in previous webinars, but now, so let's kind of get to the part of this webinar, and yeah, let's start from here. So where does it all start, as you can see here in the slide? So typically different projects, they actually start from the input data that you get from the customer. So this data can be in various formats. I know some people, they might just, send some picture, some might send some address to you, and some might send already an exact KML file. And also when I say customer, I mean this can be external customer. So I know some of you guys, you're contractors, so you just get some customers coming in and you do flights for them. And at the same time, also, it might be an internal customer. So I know there's also some larger companies that have different drone departments, have the engineering departments. So in any case, you have some data that you that you sort of need to already work with. So just one example. So here you can see this is just Google Earth Pro, and so in here you just have different sort of inputs that you can expect. So one is, this is a KML polygon that's over here in the red color. Also, you might have a corridor or a linear segment, sort of aligned like this. This is actually very typical what you would see in different projects for power line inspections, for road inspections, sort of things like that. That's sort of where you would get this. Also, there are some cases when maybe you need to do some infrastructure inspections, and you might get a KML line of exactly where is, let's say, some pipeline or something going underneath the ground. So different types of inputs like that. And similarly, so at this stage, this is also when people are typically planning already, okay, so from where I will be taking off from, or maybe marking out some important locations. And then also here in Google Earth, this is also what you would see. So simply, pins, place marks like that also have some information about them. But so actually all of this can also be visible, can be viewed inside of UgCS. So yeah, this is already UgCS, what you can see here. And also I actually already have imported inside of here both the boundary, the corridor, as well as this place mark. Now, if I can just get the zoom controls a bit out of the way, yeah, that's perfect. So here in GCS, if you go up here to the map layers, so maybe I'll see if I can make this a bit larger for you. I hope that's okay. And one more thing, let me also see. Yeah, I'll just put the chat window also so I can see what you guys are writing. Oh yeah, sorry, if I'm sometimes speaking a bit too fast, I'll try to then maybe slow down a bit. So yeah, in any case, so here inside of UgCS, you see we have the map layers window open. And so in the map layers window here in the 2D objects tab, so this is where you have, this is the area imported simply from the KML file. You can toggle the visibility on and off. And also you have this path already imported in here. Also the same thing, you can toggle visibility on and off. Now, when we go to this pin that's here, so yeah, also UgCS, it does allow you to both preview different place marks. For example, here now you can see this exact description. You can see the coordinates of this place mark as well. And you can also choose in which layer this is. So this is the functionality that you can use, for example, to plan different takeoff locations. Here, obviously, it's quite open, so it's not really a big issue, but especially for larger projects, it's also important to mark out exact locations where pilots need to go, when they need to, take off. So maybe already ahead of time, you might know what are the best spots. So whenever you need to add a new place mark like that, UgCS does allow you to do that. So you can just actually right click anywhere on UgCS map, and you can just click create place mark here. And you can choose in which source. Let's now actually select the same source as the top place mark, and you can just enter some text in here. And also, if you want, you can change the place mark icon to whatever you prefer. And so also you can see that now this location is marked. It's just one of the ways how also when you're collaborating with different people in your team, how you can also mark out certain locations that they can see, and they can see some description of it as well. And all of this can actually be, of course, adjusted through the map layers window. So here as well, for example, where you have the place marks, if you want, you can disable it, enable. I think you get the general idea here. So that's sort of for the initial part of the, let's call it pre-planning, or having some input data that you can analyze. So now let's go already a bit further, and let's go into the flight planning stage of this. So obviously flight planning, it's a big topic. I could talk for hours about just flight planning alone, but I just want to cover some of the most, let's call them most important or key points that relate to the flight planning aspect specifically. So again, by the way, I hope that the screen size is overall okay. In case maybe it's slightly too small, let me know. But I think let's actually maybe do this. I'll see if I can maybe toggle this on or off. I don't know, actually. Yeah, let's maybe keep it as is. Hopefully it should be fine. So yeah, now for the flight planning part, one of the first things that you typically do when you are doing your flight planning is actually using the elevation models. So inside of UgCS, we have different elevation sources that are already inside of UgCS by default. So typically you'd be using SRTM 1 arcsecond elevation data. So you can also see once I click on it, then all of this data is highlighted here. Depending on where you are, so if you are, for example, in the USA, also we actually have USGS data already available sort of out of the box here. So now I can also select this and move this in here. And so now you can see we have data that covers the entire United States. And this data is actually, it's 3 times more accurate than the default data. But in general, so what I'm kind of getting at is that you can import your own elevation models, elevation data. So whatever you have, depending on the resolution, you can import it. Your GCS needs to have a GeoTIFF file, so with a .tif extension. And then after that, you can very easily just add it inside of here and yeah, use it. Very similarly, you can also actually now use digital surface models. So one example for this would be, let's say, if you had to fly above a forested area and you have some digital surface model that also includes all of the trees. So then once you import it here under the DSM, then when you do the flight plan, you will actually see how high are the trees compared to the flight lines that you have planned, but at the same time, they will not affect the flight height. So this is one of the ways how you can use GCS to sort of understand the general flight safety. So how close will be the obstacles at different parts of the route without actually kind of compromising your flight plan and having to adjust all of that. So that's about that. And yeah, just again, one question or more like suggestion, please make sure if you have some questions at any time when I'm talking, just put them in the Q&A and I'll try to answer them a bit later as I'm going through that. So yeah, in general, so when you're doing your projects, first you make sure you have a good DSM, in many cases, DSM or DM, I mean. And in many cases also you can just, use the existing default one. And if you have a more accurate one, in different countries have different, public sources also where you can get them, then of course you can use your own elevation models. Next is that also we have the ability to create different no-fly zones. And let me maybe try to show you a bit of what I mean by that. Let's maybe actually expand this slightly. So then with the GCS, actually, you can very easily create different no-fly zones. So you can just click here on these three dots. And then, for example, if you have some area where you know that the drone must not fly inside of, then you can select it and you can sort of click on the map and you can plan your no-fly zone. You can enter some name. Let's call it no-fly zone 1. You can also choose from what altitude should it start until what altitude should it go. So you can even make the no-fly zone above the ground. And yeah, then you can sort of make sure that whatever route that you plan, it will not go through the no-fly zone. And if you configure the settings correctly, in many cases also actually the drone will go above the no-fly zone if it has some maximum height limit. So an example would be, let's say if you have some no-fly zone where you know that you can't really fly lower than 50 meters there, then you can simply set the no-fly zone at, let's say, maximum height of 50 meters, like so. And then once you plan your route, if you have all the route parameters set correctly, then the drone will also, so the route will raise up the flight lines above the no-fly zone to ensure you don't really fly through it. By the way, I think I might have to, yeah, let me just enable this so you can see as well. So yeah, those are no-fly zones that also, they're not, again, they're more optional. You don't have to set them for each route, but it's just something that the software has inside of it and that can also be useful. Now, going next to the flight plan organization. So actually, all of the flight plans that you do here in GCS, they are organized by default in missions. So let me maybe quickly try to show you what I mean by that. So here you can see I have this one mission that's here. And so I can also rename it. So let's call this just mission 1. And then once you click here on these three dots, you can select open mission. And then in this list, you can see all of the list of all of your currently available missions. And also what's more is that any mission can actually be fully exported. And again, missions, in this context, you can take more of them as projects. So this means you can have multiple flight plans inside of a single mission, and also you can export them. So this means that, let's say, if you have two pilots in your company who are both using GCS, then you can, for example, plan some flights on one of the computers. And if you need to share those flight plans to the other pilot, then you can very simply just go here. You can export the mission. It will be exported in a JSON file. And then you can just send that file to your colleague or to some other pilots who need to do the actual flights. It's just one of the ways how you can share flight plans. It'll also be mentioned a bit further. But yeah, the main point here is that all of the flight plans, the routes, how we call them, they are automatically organized in missions. And so obviously you can rename them. You can see in this window also how many missions you have, how many routes you have in each, and so on. And also, by the way, if in case you need to ever change your computer, then here we have an option to export all missions. And also this even allows you to just keep a backup just in case to ensure that you have all of your flight plans saved somewhere. But yeah, then that's one thing. And then one of the next ones is that actually you can automatically create flight plans from files. So there's two ways how you can approach that. So here, let's say you have some borders of an area that you have to scan. And now let me just go here. So when you click on this plus button to create a new route, actually, let's just a moment. Let me maybe just clear this. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now let's go here and create a new route. Let's select import from file. And then in here, you can see we have all, these are the same KML files that you saw earlier. And so, for example, we can select this area, then click on open. And you can see that here in this window, UgCS actually suggests so how you want to import linear segments and how you want to import area. For the area, for example, you can select the photogrammetry, then, or depending on what sensor you're using, obviously, if you're using ground penetrating radar, you would select area scan. For LiDAR, it's LiDAR, and obviously so on. And yep, then just you basically select what drone you're using, and then this area will be created automatically. In this case, I actually already have it created, but actually, let's why not? Let's just create a sort of copy of that. Okay, so this is actually one of them, but I have two routes here. So this one I can hide. This is the one I already imported previously, but they're generally the same. So here you can see how route can be imported from a file over this area. And very similarly, you can do the same thing for corridors as well. So if you have some linear segment and you want to quickly create a corridor over it, then what you can do is you can go here, then create a new route. Again, you can select import from file. And in this case, I will choose this path that's here. So the path.kml. And then here, since it's a linear segment, so it will use this selection when importing. And for example, you can choose to import this as a mapping corridor. Then again, you can choose what drone you want to use. In this case, I can just select the Mavic 3 Enterprise. Yep, let's click yes on here. And then it might also just prompt you to choose so what camera you want to use, what should be the GSD or the flight height. This is typically for new UgCS installations. And then once you enter those parameters, then you can see that now this corridor is already calculated. And for example, if you want to fly both there and back, you just increase the width of the corridor, and then it will add 2 flight lines. So it's just one way how you can automate flight plan creation. But of course, there are also cases when you simply want to plan manually, and also just want to cover this workflow a bit as well. So now let's say that you want to manually use this KML file and create a flight path over it. So now again, we can create a new route. I'll maybe use the M350 drone, and let's do photogrammetry, and let's select area. And now, as the prompt says, you can simply hold down on the shift button and you can mark out what area you want the drone to scan. So let's just select this area that's here. Hit enter to complete the figure. And so you can see it automatically determines the most optimal angle, also how to cover this exact area. So this one we already have, and we can actually hide it away for a moment, and then we can create another one. I won't create all of it, obviously. I'll just very quickly, I'll show just 2. So, and then you can, let's say, plan flight over this part of the route. Again, hit enter. UgCS, if here in the advanced settings, if the direction angle hasn't been entered, then UgCS will actually determine it automatically, and it will just determine the most optimal direction angle that will allow you to cover all of the area. And so, for example, here you can already see both of the flight plans side by side, and then in this way you can just manually plan out the flights that would cover this area. And then if we go back maybe to the window where you have all of the missions, then also here you can actually already see the full list of routes. So how many routes are here. And by clicking on these arrows here, you can also, of course, see all of the routes that you have. And so typically you would also, enter some more easily understandable names. So let's say quadrant 1, quadrant 2, and so on. So you have some more logical order. But already here you can see that it just by default, it just has this route 1, route 2, and so on. So yeah, that's about that. And yeah, then actually here I probably covered everything I wanted, because yeah, you can organize the flight plans, you can easily create them. And by the way, not just from KML files, but also from CSV files. So in case you maybe want to also automate the creation of some actions, then also you can do that. And in fact, even if you want to maybe use some custom flight segments, then also it's possible to create the KML using some script, and then you can also import it as waypoints in GCS, just as an example. But yeah, so now let's maybe just I'll zoom in a bit here. And yeah, of course, also with all of the routes inside of UgCS, there's different operations that you can do. So everything in here it's quite customizable. So for example, you can have separate segments such as waypoint. You can have different areas. You already saw the photogrammetry, but you can have normal area scan, LiDAR area, circlegrammetry, and so on. We just don't really have time to explain all of these. So in case maybe you want me to explain some of the flight segments in some more detail, just let me know, and in the Q&A, we will probably have time for that. And yeah, different corridors, vertical inspections, and other tools. So in short, a lot of different tools you can use. And you can actually combine all of them. So even within one route, you can, for example, have the route start with a corridor, have the area scan in the middle, and then have a corridor at the end. And to maybe show you a bit better what I mean, let's do this. So you can see here we have actually this area scan that's over here. And so what we can do is, in fact, we can add a corridor. Let's add the corridor after it, for example, but we can also add before. So now we can go to, let's just say corridor mapping, and then we can, for example, create a corridor from here until here. Just a simple one like that. Set the flight height and also the width. Let's maybe now actually decrease to, for example, 30 meters. Okay, and so now we have the corridor before the area scan, and also actually you can move it around. So if you add the corridor before it, then also you can see it is possible to do. But this one I'd probably prefer to have after it. And also one thing I wanted to show is the elevation profile. So for all of the routes that you plan inside of UgCS, you can also see their exact altitude. So if you click up here in the top bar on the elevation profile, then this will sort of show this window to you. Now it's a bit zoomed in for me. But yeah, in short, you can see all of the waypoints that are here. And also as you mouse over and sort of slide through this window, you can see probably this red bubble that's sort of sliding through the route. So that's obviously the exact location of where this is in the route. And then you can, of course, also see, so what is the overall elevation change here? You can also see things such as the estimated time and distance, how many waypoints. So all this useful information, this is what I usually recommend that you check after every route or for every route that you plan, just to ensure that it is safe to fly and that everything is good and exactly how you want it to be. So yeah, that's about that. And yeah, what else? Yeah, obviously, like I said, you can combine different segments. You can change their order. So for example, for this area also, we can add, let's say, some first waypoint before it. And yes, now I can see that this area does start from this corner. And so you can have as many segments as you want and do different route operations. For example, also what I can do is I can take this route and I can convert it into waypoints. And then once that is done, then the original route is hidden. And now you can see I have a new route that basically consists only of waypoints, and you can here also do different operations in it. So for example, you can select this waypoint, you can add some other sort of intermediary points. One example for this is, let's say, if you need to fly around some obstacle that's there, this could be maybe some tower in the middle of the flight route, then also this is kind of how you can do that. And obviously you can also adjust the altitudes here. So all those things you can change, and all the routes are very highly customizable in UgCS, as you can already probably see here. Yep, and now I think I'll just try to cover a bit about the drone connections, since I think it's a bit of a topic that sometimes can confuse people, and it's very understandable because since the UgCS is universal, we have different drones that you can connect. Different drones obviously have different methods, so I'll just try to take you through it a bit to hopefully clear out some of the confusion. So in general, you can use UgCS in your workflow, both by pre-planning all the routes and then not even having to worry about opening up the computer in the field, or if you prefer to also have the computer with you to make some flight plan adjustments when you are in the field, that's also completely fine. So both workflows are completely valid. Then next, so how do you actually get the flight plan from the drone, from UgCS onto the drone? So now the most recent method that we added is actually UgCS Cloud. So UgCS Cloud, it does allow you to actually access your routes from anywhere. So this means that as long as you have an internet connection, then you can have all of your flight plans synchronized to the cloud. And then, but again, one note here is that this is for drones that are supported in the Pilot 2 app of DJI. So this means Mavic 3 Enterprise, M30, M300, M350, now the newly released drones as well. So M400, Matrice 4. Yeah, so these are the drones that you can currently use with UgCS Cloud. But yeah, good thing is that you can then just access them from anywhere. Just log into your drones controller in UgCS, and you don't need to mess around with having to connect both devices on the same network and so on. So just all the flight plans are accessible. There is a downside to this. The downside is that you can't send direct commands from UgCS, but for many people, I think that's also not needed. And also you can't see the telemetry in UgCS. But if you do want those things as well, then there are other methods how you can connect your drone. So next one is actually the Pilot 2 connection to UgCS. So this simply means that you need to have both devices on the same network, so the computer and the remote controller. And then simply if you have the Pilot 2 app running there, then you'll need to enter the address of the computer. And then very similarly, when you go to the root library of your Pilot 2, then all the flight plans will be available there. And you will also get telemetry. So this means that inside of UgCS here, you will also be able to see your drone. With the Pilot 2 connection, though, you will not really be able to send any of the commands here. So you will only see the drone's location in 3D, and also you'll see the telemetry information there. So it's just an extra way how you can monitor your drone. And then next, there are two, so these are our own apps that we made. So one is called Companion, one is called UgCS for DJI. Companion is for newer drones, so everything kind of starting from Matrice 300 and upwards, enterprise level drones, and UgCS for DJI, it's for more older drones. So something like M600, M200, the M300 actually as well. So it can be used with both methods. But in any case, so for both of these apps, you do again need to have the remote controller on the same network as the computer. The flight plans can be synchronized for offline. So this means that you can sync them and then you can actually launch them only using the remote controller without having to use the computer. But also a good thing with these both methods is that not only you have the telemetry in UgCS, but you can also actually send the commands to the drone. So this means, you can kind of have the remote controller next to you, but actually everything you can do on the computer in the field. So you have the flight plan, you can just upload it to the drone, you can send the command to start the route. So all of those things you have control over if you use the apps and the direct connection. Then also, by the way, if you have a non-DJI drone, so something like a drone based on Autopilot or PX4, this can be like inspired flight or free flight drone or something else. Then also with these drones, typically you connect them using the HereLink controller. So if you have the controller with the screen, or if you have the radio link and the controller without the screen, then also you can just plug the radio link inside of the computer, and the UgCS will automatically detect that drone and it will be shown up. But yeah, in case some of these connection methods don't really work in the field for whatever reason, maybe you don't have Wi-Fi or maybe you're using some other drone, then there's always a backup option. This means you can always manually export the flight plan. So whatever flight plan you have in UgCS, you can always click here on export route, and it will allow you to export it to different formats. So first one is JSON. This is the format that allows you to share easily between different UgCS installations or maybe save as backup. Then next is KML. This actually allows you to export the route for previewing it in Google Earth or some other GIS software. And also for DJI Pilot app or the Autel app as well. For the Autel drones, the Autel Explorer, you can use this method to export to DJI Pilot 2 format, which is just a KMZ file. And so then this file you can just put on the controller yourself. So that's all the different methods, I know, but yeah, there's different ways how you can connect your drone. Different people prefer different options. So yeah, I just thought I'd cover this as well. So hopefully it is a bit more clear. I also see you guys have a lot of questions. I'll try to answer all of them in just a bit, since I'm sure that you usually have a lot of questions about these drone connection methods. Yeah. Then also, by the way, recently we introduced for smaller DJI drones, so DJI Mini series and DJI Air and so on. There's also a way how you can actually export the route from UgCS onto Litchi app, and you can use Litchi to fly a flight plan that was planned inside of UgCS. So also quite cool. Yeah, then going further, let's now maybe specifically talk about teamwork, and let's talk about how you can actually share the flight plans within the team. Because I'm sure there's many cases when you have different drone pilots working on a project together. So some are just doing the flight planning, some are doing the flying, some are doing both. So how do you actually share the flight plans? Firstly is the UgCS Cloud account. And so this is actually what I was mentioning before. And it simply means that so once you install UgCS, then you can see everything. I'm just checking. So in here, up in the top bar, this is the sort of cloud icon. So if you haven't yet logged in, then you can just press on that. It will prompt you to register for the cloud. And also, of course, here in the main menu, you can also access. Just give me a second here. Okay, just 1 second. I'll believe it's saving something. Well, in any case, so here you can access the UgCS Cloud account. You can log in, and once, oh yeah, there we go. So yeah, basically, once you are logged in here, then all the flight plans they will be synchronized to the cloud account. So this means that so currently, since we introduced it quite recently, you can't have a lot of users on different accounts and organizations and so on. But what you can already do, you can register one account for your organization. And if you want to share some flight plans and basically make them instantly accessible to other pilots, then you can already use this. You can just share the login credentials within your team. And yeah, any flight plan that you will plan, you can see that now there's a little icon that says that it has been actually uploaded to the cloud. Just give me a second here. But yeah, in short, so as I already mentioned, so one way is using the cloud account. So you can synchronize the flights from anywhere in the world. That's a really cool thing because it means you don't really need to have pilots on the same network. So in fact, you can be, somewhere in a completely different country. You can be planning all the flights, just provide your pilots with the login credentials. And then once they log in, then all of the flight plans, they will be instantly accessible within their account. So when they log into the DJI remote controller, then they will be able to access all of them. And okay, so now I'll maybe try and reshare the screen with UgCS as well. Okay, there we go. So now hopefully it should be good. Yeah, then so that's one way. I'll maybe mention a bit about it further as well, because there's actually some other interesting things related to the cloud account, what you also get. Yeah, the next thing is that you can also actually use a shared server. And so this means that if you have a UgCS enterprise license, then one cool thing is you can actually run the UgCS server in your, let's say, some central computer in your office. And this means that you can, use some virtual mesh network, and you can have different pilots connect to the server. And this means that they can not only access the flight plans, they can also plan the flights themselves, and everything is saved sort of in a centralized way, right? So this means you might have, pilot A, B, C. Each of them have access to the server. They use their own missions. They plan all their flights, and you can access all of them. You can see all of the data, or sort of what projects are they working on, all of these things. So in case you're interested in that, then there's UgCS Enterprise, which does allow to basically sort of say split the software in different components and run different components on different machines within your organization. Yeah, and then of course the sort of last thing is you can always export the flight plans. You can export the mission. This is what I already mentioned earlier. And so this means that any mission, any route, it can be easily exported to a file and then shared within the team. So yeah, that's about that. I see there's also a bit in chat, a lot written. So yeah, I think I'll try to sort of finish this because we're now a bit like nearing towards the end of this presentation, and then we'll just go in the Q&A, and I'll try to talk a bit more and maybe cover some topics that I have not yet done. Yep. Then what I wanted to mention about specifically UgCS Cloud, and what I think this is the thing that most people don't really know, because we haven't, to be honest, we haven't really advertised it that much. But actually, so when you create the UgCS Cloud account, actually you're also creating an account for DroneGIS. And so DroneGIS is software that allows you to very easily store and share the data. And so this means the data can be shared both to your end customer, they can access it from a link, and also it can be shared within a team. So if you need to have some way where you can back up your images, your 3D models, maps, LiDAR point clouds, and even geophysical data, So then this is what DroneGIS can be used for. So this QR code, hope it works, but I think it should. So this QR code will lead you to a sample project in DroneGIS. I'll put here in the chat this link as well, so you can go ahead and open it up. And this will actually show you one of our recent projects that we did. So this was a multi-beam echo sounder survey over a lake that's located not very far from our office here in Latvia. And yeah, so then there you'll be able to see different data that's combined. What I'll be showing here, this is not that project. This is a different one. This is basically what you will get when you just will try to start DroneGIS yourself. So here I have loaded just a few images from one of the flights I did recently, and so in here you can just sort of see. Just as an example, so there's different images. This is just images captured over our field office. And yes, you can see image locations. You can see obviously the image itself. And also this allows you to, for example, select all images, download them, and yeah, do various different things. Also, once you process the map for this, you can load the map in DroneGIS as well. And there is a full 3D viewer. So the 3D viewer I'll show in a separate window. So this is the sample project that you saw in the presentation. And so this is also what was sort of gathered over the lake. So over here, what you can already see, so this is basically the LiDAR data first. So this is the LiDAR point cloud that's over here. And in the middle of the lake, this is actually the data that's done, that's collected from the multi-beam echo sounder survey. Again, survey that was done using a drone over the lake. And so here you can see actually how the bed of the lake looks like, which I think is quite interesting. And in here you can sort of expand the sidebar, so you can see there's the point clouds. You can also obviously toggle the visibility on and off. There's also the elevation, and there's also the RGB map that you can enable if you want to. You can also do different measurements here in DroneGIS, but yeah, so basically it's a platform that allows you to share the data, have some place where to store all the data, and also you can share it with your end customers, you can share it within your team, and obviously just, have some very easy way how you can preview. Because, very often, you might have the data somewhere, but when you just quickly need to show it to the customer, maybe you're on a computer that doesn't really have the right software for viewing it. So yeah, just thought I'd also show this solution because actually, yeah, like I mentioned, you get 10 gigabytes for free. And this means, yeah, that even when you just have your GCS open, you just register for the cloud account, which is also for free. Then also you just get this free storage, and it's just something you can try out without having to pay anything and see if you like it. And then once you have your GCS Cloud account registered, and again, it can be registered from within the GCS. Then also this is the link that you would use to log into DroneGIS. Again, maybe I'll just copy this and put here in the chat just so you guys can have it. So there you go. And yeah, you can also register for the account there, and this account will then be the same that you can also use for the UgCS Cloud. So yeah, hopefully this helps. You'll probably have some questions, and I'll actually cover them in just a bit. But yeah, so then basically, I think we can sort of slowly transition into the Q&A section, since already it's almost 7 where I am. And yeah, basically, what are the next steps? So if you have already used UgCS, then, well, I guess you can just check out DroneGIS. You can check out our Facebook group of drone pilots. I'll make this a bit larger so you can see the QR code. And if you haven't yet checked out UgCS, then actually good news is you can check it out completely for free. So you can just head on over to ugcs.com/download. Again, I'll put the link here in the chat. That's how we're doing it today. So yeah, you can head there, download the GCS for free, try GCS Open, so you don't have to pay anything. You can just use it as long as you need to, completely for free. And also you can check out DroneGIS with the 10 gigabyte data storage. And yeah, I would also really appreciate if you could join our Facebook community of drone pilots, and so we can all share our flight plans, share our projects together. But yeah, now actually that was sort of it for the main part of this webinar. So now I think we can probably go into answering some of your guys' questions that you have. And I see there's actually There's quite a few, so I'll see what I can answer. So I already see actually my colleagues have been very productive and have answered quite a few of them. Let's see, maybe there's some that I can also answer. And yeah, by the way, in case you need to have some, I see there's, I think, a few questions actually from Spanish speakers asking, can we help, in Spanish language? We do have colleagues who are native Spanish speakers. So yeah, you can just reach out to us and we can connect you with one of our colleagues from our company who speaks Spanish and can provide you with assistance and some recommendations as well. So then, and yeah, now in case maybe throughout the webinar you have some questions that you would like to see answered, then this is the time you can put them in the Q&A section and I'll try to answer them. Okay, I see from all, there's some, oh yeah. Question from John, it's about circle geometry and circle geometry support for M600. Yeah, M600 is a bit older drone. So actually, to be completely honest, we haven't really tested on the M600, the circle geometry. We usually test on, newer DJI drones. So M300, Mavic 3 Enterprise, M400, obviously, and so on. But I believe it should still work because the process is more or less the same, because the M300 also does work with it. So yeah, but the best way actually would be to test out using the simulator, because when you connect it using UgCS for DJI, when you connect the M600, then it's possible to enable the simulator, and that would be the best way to test it out, just to ensure that the drone rotates correctly for taking those images. And by the way, so since we are here, what you can show inside of UgCS as well. Usually when I also show some stuff in the software, then some more questions also pop up very often. So what you can also do is, if you want to plan specifically oblique flights, there's basically two ways how you can do that. So you can either do circle geometry, which maybe I'll also quickly try to show. So let's do this. Flight height, let's do 50, and radius, let's do 30 meters. So yeah, let's mark out an area. Let's maybe drag it a bit here. Let's make it a bit more even. Okay, so let's do like that. And also usually what I do, I decrease the overlap a bit. So let's do like 20% overlap between the circles. And yeah, so this is just a very simple example how you can plan out circle geometry missions. Currently this is for the M350, but of course the drone profile here you can change as well. Then what else? Oh, from Javier, I see. Yeah, so you weren't able to connect your drone to UgCS some years ago, and so yeah, what do we recommend? Is there a budget version? Yeah, actually, so now, as I mentioned, if you just want to try it out, see if you can connect it. Actually, you can do it completely for free, so you don't even have to pay anything. And so you can just head on over to our website. So this is sphengineering.com, but you can also just input ugcs.com in the browser, and yeah, you'll be able to see it. And then you can just head on over to download. You can download GCS for your operating system, install, and then basically you'll activate UgCS Open. Open does have a restriction for the, let's say how many routes can you fly per day. But yeah, other than a few restrictions, actually you can use UgCS Open for quite a lot of things. So if you just want to test out your drone connection, you can just download, test it out. If you can actually let me know what drone you were trying to connect, I can also maybe just give you some recommendations now. But as I was already showing here, so yeah, there's for different drones, different connection methods. Right now, the most popular ones are UgCS Cloud. Then there's also the pilot connection to UgCS and the companion. So these are the current methods that you would use for newer DJI drones. But if I have something older like M600, M200, Phantom 4, then this is UgCS for DJI. That's sort of the one to get for the drones that are pre-Pilot 2 app, so to say. Yeah, then I see there's also some question for, so can we share a step-by-step mission plan for magnetic survey planning? Actually, we do provide even training for planning magnetic surveys. So in case you're interested in that, then you can also just get in touch with us and we can try to set you up with some training for that. Because yeah, one cool thing that maybe didn't get to show that much in this webinar is so you can see there's different ways of how you can actually plan your areas depending on what sensor you are using. So up here, this is just photogrammetry missions. Then obviously it's circle grammetry for collecting oblique data. But let's say if you wanted to use something like a magnetometer or ground penetrating radar for your surveys, so then you would typically be using a normal area scan. And so here you can, for example, select just geophysical survey. Let's select magnetometer. And then very simply put, you choose what flight height you want to fly at. Then you mark out the area that you want the drone to cover. And also you can set the side distance. So for example, you can set this to 5 meters, and then we can see so what flight plan GCS calculates. Also, obviously, the flight height we can decrease if that is needed. And yeah. Oh yeah, one other question is about the telemetry. So can we upload previous telemetry if you connect your controller on different computer? Oh, it's actually interesting. So basically, I believe yes. I don't very often do telemetry transfer between computers, but one thing also we didn't get to show in this webinar yet is that, yeah, so UgCS, it does save telemetry from any drone that you fly. So while the drone is connected to UgCS, so the telemetry will be recorded. Right now, I believe, yeah, for the emulator, it doesn't really record anything. However, once you're doing some flight in GCS, all of this will be recorded locally on your computer, so this data is not being sent anywhere. And then you'll see basically these different telemetry tracks, and also you'll see on the map, so where exactly the drone was flying. And so then you can actually export that. And so you can export, as I remember, in CSV file and in TLM file. And so if you want to move the telemetry between different computers, then you can just export into the TLM file, so the telemetry file, and you can just import it back here. So yeah, if you just need to transfer it between computers, then that I believe is the best way how you can do that. Yeah, I see there's other question about, so can we provide the solution in Spanish remotely? Yeah, that's absolutely no problem. So we have also consultants and colleagues speaking in Spanish, like I mentioned. So yeah, you can just please, you can also get in touch with us, but we'll try to then reach out to you after the webinar. And yeah, we can consult you in Spanish, and obviously we can do this even remotely from anywhere. So in any case, let's go back then to the editing mode where I was showing the magnetic survey. And yeah, so here also I just want to show again the elevation profile. And by the way, one thing that's interesting for you if you're doing magnetic surveys is that recently we added this trajectory smoothing algorithm, which actually allows you to smooth out the flight trajectory, especially when you're flying over some more steep mountains. And let's see if I can maybe very quickly move into a bit more mountainous area here. Okay, it's not actually very mountainous. It looked like that from the map. So I believe we're actually now over Spain. I actually head on over somewhere here where there are a bit higher mountains. So yeah, now again, let me just try to plan out a very quick survey for this. And yeah, by the way, so while I'm doing this, if you have some more questions, maybe something pops in your mind, then yeah, feel free to ask. So yeah, now again, you can just plan out your area scan, how you want it to be. Let me just also move the camera around slightly. Yeah, so once this is done, you'll see the flight will be calculated, and you can see all the flight lines, how the drone flies over this. And so if you go here in the advanced settings, then also here you can adjust the trajectory smoothing. So you can, for example, let's see the elevation profile that's here. Yeah, also, by the way, we recently added the possibility to zoom in like so. So yeah, this allows you to check out in detail any segment of the route wherever you need to. And yeah, you can, for example, add some maximum slope parameter, and so then this will limit so how steep is actually the flight path. But yeah, also there's also one question about possibility of becoming an agent for the software in your own country. So yeah, actually we do have distribution systems. So we have partnerships. So in case you want to become a partner and become a distributor of UgCS, so then it's also possible. You just need to get in touch with us and express that interest. Yeah, then let's see what else I can answer. Oh yeah, I would recommend the platform for running GCS server locally. In general, I would recommend running it on Windows server. So that does seem to work the best because also Windows is the primary system on which we actually develop GCS. But I also know some of our customers, they're running GCS on Linux. So on Ubuntu also it's possible, but then you need to get in touch with us for the instructions for installation of Ubuntu. And yeah, then also regarding possibility to establish some local cloud environment that allows to share the routes. Basically, once you have the server running, then it does serve as the local cloud environment. And then basically you can access that to access any of the flight plans. So yeah, you can also actually set up some mesh network for that. So it's all possible. Okay. Yeah. Also, I see one question from Randy is about what's your footprint in the USA markets, industries, locations, on any property insurance use cases. Actually, USA, that's our primary market. So most of our customers, they are in fact from the USA. That's why you would see, things such as over here, the USGS data, because, we want to, of course, add features that do help our USA customers. But they come from different industries. I know a lot also are from construction. There's forestry industry, energy as well, but I believe construction is probably one of the largest ones. And if there's any property insurance use cases, I'm sure there's probably pilots who are using it specifically for property insurance. I know UGC is also being used for building inspections, things like that. So yeah, essentially, if you have a project in that, then I'm sure you can also find a use for GCS there. And another question is how to split one mission into multiple missions. I believe you probably mean how can you split one route into multiple routes. And I'll maybe just I can show actually here a bit briefly how you can do that. So in GCS, actually, for any route that you have, it's possible to split that route by the segment. So you can split by the distance, by the segment. On any of the routes, you can go here and then you can select split. And so there's two ways. So you can either select by which segment you want to split it. So we can, for example, specify segment number 15. This is waypoint 15 in this case. Or also it's possible to split by distance. But a bit of a teaser that I believe at some point in this year, probably we might have some more convenient way also coming, how you can specifically, more easily plan out larger areas. So you can, yeah, stay tuned for that. And yeah, hopefully some interesting things will be coming out for you guys. Oh yeah, I understand this the battery capacity, you have to split the routes. And yeah, by the way, for battery capacity, one thing I would probably recommend is that for any of the routes that you plan out, of course, here you'll be able to see the estimated distance. So how long can you fly with that battery? And you can actually plan the flights keeping that in mind. So for example, you can have this larger area. And then when you're planning out your flights, then you can see as you're making some adjustments, you'll actually see, so what's the estimated flight time of that specific area? And yeah, then sort of using that, you can also, see even visually, how large an area is that you can cover with a single battery. And then actually, if you want to, for example, go from here and once you have one route, that works well for you, and let's say you want to cover similar areas using this same method, actually one really fast way, which I can recommend you do, you can just go on duplicate, and then once you create a copy of a route, then you can simply move it here. So this means you can, for example, even plan, let's say, some rectangular flight plan, and then obviously at the ends where it's needed, you can very easily adjust it to fit the shape of whatever it is you're scanning. And then yeah, once you're done with that, then again you can basically just go on to duplicate, and then you can sort of take that route and you can drag it a bit further to the location where you want to fly. So yeah. Okay, now let's see if there's anything else that I can answer now. But yeah, it actually seems that most of the questions we have answered. Oh yeah, one question that I think a lot of people ask is, so actually, how can you adjust the interface? Because very often I see some issues that, yeah, the interface might be a bit too large or a bit too small. So you can just hold down the control, and then using the plus and the minus keys, you can very easily just change the size of all the windows. And yeah, so on whatever computer you're working on, this allows you to sort of scale GCS interface up or down. And by the way, if you go on over here onto this menu and select shortcuts, then actually there's a list of useful shortcuts that you can use inside of UgCS just to make your life a bit easier and a bit better when using it. But yeah, I believe then that's probably it. I think we've answered most of the questions. In case your question did not get answered, then of course, oh yeah, sorry. By the way, maybe one more. So, question: how do you export the flight lines? So, this I do believe I kind of covered, but so firstly, any route can be exported through here. But I'd say that now one of the best ways is you can use the cloud synchronization. So through the cloud, you can just sync any route to the cloud server, and then from the drone's remote controller, you can simply access that. And yeah, so I think then that's probably it. And yeah, so I just want to say again to all of you, thank you so much for joining today. I hope it was useful. In case we didn't get to answer your question, then sorry, but we'll try to get in touch with you personally and get that answered, just so everything is clear. But yeah, so again, thank you so much for joining. Hope it was interesting, and then see you in the next one.